mentioned to me before to remind you to talk about bullshit morality. You want to expand upon that?
Yeah. The concept, and they of course are way too polite to call it bullshit morality. But have you read Freakonomics or Super Freakonomics?
I have, yeah.
Okay. One of the things that they talked about in a couple places are places where we put a moral tag on things that are purely, they're economist, so purely economical decisions. One example, and the only people that this will resonate with are writers, and the fiction writers will actually get upset about this. I know a lot of fiction writers. This is what my wife does. When I decided to write a first magazine article, I was published in 2 national magazines within 2 months. Just kind of like, nonfiction is very easy to get published in. If you go look at any magazine rack anywhere and look at all the nonfiction titles there and how many fiction titles still exist.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If you want to write fiction, and I will tell this to any fiction writers who want to be published, write some nonfiction. You have the skills to string words together, you can research, and you can get published. What that does is then on your cover letter, you say, when you want to sell your fiction, I've been published in, and you name the national magazines you've been published in or international magazines, and it immediately moves you to the top of the slush pile. You immediately get a better chance of getting your stuff published because they know or believe that you can work with a publisher. It is one of the smartest things you could do as a fiction writer to further your career. And nearly every single fiction writer I have ever said this to has had this immediately. No, that's not the right way to do it. Okay, that's what I'm talking about, a bullshit morality of there's a right and a wrong way. When something where there's no one getting hurt here, there's no no professional. I just did an article. You know how you do those quotes at the beginning articles?
Yeah.
The quote that I put down was, "No, stay here. I need to do this myself." Said no professional ever.
It's right up there with violence never solved anything. So,
right.
Actually, violence has solved heaps of things.
Heaps of things like food. Show me a nonviolent way to get food. That's what I mean by the bullshit morality thing. That one of those, it's ineffective, it's stupid, it's dangerous. But we get this voice in our head saying, but it's the right thing to do. And a lot of times that voice has nothing to do with real life. One of the things I'm bouncing around right now is, have you ever been ashamed to call for backup?
No, I don't think so. I think it's I think there's probably been times where in hindsight I was like, maybe, but in the moment I don't think so.
But almost all amateurs think calling for backup is shameful.
True.
There's almost this, and that's what I'm talking about, that bullshit morality. They put a shame factor on something that's just common sense. There are a whole bunch of problems we could solve, but the answers are icky.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's listen to some of the Freakonomics podcasts, and it'll come up every so often. But you start looking for that. We start adding an imaginary morality onto a practical question. If someone is one concrete example, I was doing a scenario training, and one of the people running through the scenario is basically you watch a traffic accident where one of the persons escalates, but you're a witness. And they escalate to the point that depending on how long you wait before you intervene or don't intervene, they're going to kick the and I almost saw these with a big guy and a small woman, but he's going to kick the woman to death. So there's a lot of this scenario is about your own morality. When can you step in? What can you live with? What you can't? But I found consistently with martial artists, instead of just, the guys attacking women, instead of just coming up behind and taking and getting control, they tap him on the shoulder to turn around so they can have a fist fight with him.
Yeah, they're after a fair fight, which is that's one thing I used to tell people all the time, is that Fair fights are for amateurs. Fair fights are for people that don't mind losing. You can't afford to lose when it's real.
Right. That's that moral dimension that they put on it. That whole fair in the concept of saving a life, because that's what you're doing. It's not about the fight. It's about saving the life. That's the bullshit moral dimension I was talking about.
I think for me, actually, because similar to you, I came from a judo background before I really dived into exposure to real violence, and I sort of conditioned myself with this combat sport mentality of there's rules and it's a contest and you kind of want to prove yourself, and there's it's a game of wits and so on, and I quickly learned, thankfully very quickly, that there's a place for fair sport and testing yourself, and that's in a controlled environment where you'll get to go home safely anyway. And but when I'm getting paid and I need to be able to work the next day and the next year and the next month, and then there's no place whatsoever for fair fights, because I've found the odds stacked against me a few too many times, and I'd rather have all the resources on my side to start with. Thank you very much.
And that's just intelligent. And to quote Clint, it's I'm not paid to fight, I'm paid to win.